Okay, we are going to bring this importing spreadsheets section to a close here, and we're going to recap what we did. So, as we discussed, we looked at the two ways you can import a spreadsheet: Microsoft Excel or Worksheet Design. If it's a tabular spreadsheet, in other words, your data is already in rows and columns, you could use either one, Microsoft Excel or Worksheet Design. If it is a spreadsheet that is structured as a report, it is preferred and strongly recommended to use the worksheet design. You could use Microsoft Excel, but you want to use worksheet design. Okay. Um, okay. And then this is again just kind of what they look like. Uh, okay. Let's keep going. We talked through all the different scenarios. Um, all the different 7 scenarios of importing a spreadsheet. And what I'd like to do now is kind of summarize all this for you. Okay. So the worksheet design is superior to Microsoft Excel. Okay. It gives you a lot more options. It's a lot more flexible, a lot more dynamic, right? Because it accounts for the different dynamic sheet names and it's got some other features. So it's very feature rich, a lot more dynamic. Microsoft Excel is more basic, to be honest. All right. Now, again, for those customers that have the Monarch server application for the automator, right? If you want to, you can automate your processes. The worksheet design additionally gives you more options when you automate a process for a visual process. All right. Um, let's see. At the desktop level, one caveat with the worksheet design is if you have a massive spreadsheet, and I mean several 100,000 rows of records, okay, worksheet design will be a little slower than the Microsoft Excel because, again, because worksheet design has a lot more features, it's got a lot more overhead. It's doing a lot more thinking, a lot more processing. And because the Microsoft Excel option is a lot more basic, it's a little faster. But again, for those customers that have the Monarch Server application, doesn't matter, right? Because if you've got that massive spreadsheet, what I would do is I would take a smaller sample size of that spreadsheet, import it with worksheet design it, set it up, and then go to Monarch Server and then just automate the big spreadsheet in Monarch Server. Okay. Um, if you don't have Monarch Server and it's a really big spreadsheet, I mean, you're almost challenged to use Microsoft Excel um, just because it'll process faster, but you know, it's not that big a deal, right? I probably would still use the worksheet design, but if I find that worksheet design takes a longer time to load, then I'll try to make it work with Microsoft Excel. A very big important note here, it does matter what option you pick at the beginning. Okay, so once you import a spreadsheet with one of these two methods, you say, hey, I'm going to import it with Microsoft Excel. That's it. You can't at some point change that to say, oh man, now I need to change it to worksheet design, right? So they're both good, right? Of course, one has little more options than the other. There are times where, I mean, a lot of times I generally could just start with Microsoft Excel, right? But here are some best practices, right? If it is a tabular spreadsheet and you know the sheet name is always going to be the same, Microsoft Excel is just fine. It's perfect. It works just great. If it's a spreadsheet where you know the sheet name is going to change all the time, right? Then you want to definitely use my worksheet design because so it'll account for that. If it's a spreadsheet that's structured like a report, of course you want to use worksheet design because it's designed for those types of spreadsheets. And then if it's a tabular spreadsheet that has a large data, I mean, it kind of is a best practice to use Microsoft Excel. But again, if you have the server, you could just do it with the worksheet design as well. Okay. All right. That is it for importing spreadsheets. I think we've exhausted this topic at this point. And from here on, with the last part of this, we're going to look at some 3 exercises just so we get some experience working with data, working with spreadsheets in Data Prep Studio. And then finally, there's a 10 question quiz that you could do. Honest with you, if you want, if you could do the quiz first and then do the exercises, doesn't matter. But if you want to stick with the process, I would do the exercises and then do the quiz after. Okay, awesome. See you then.